Andrew McCART, IFL TV. I'm here in Liverpool. Eddie Hearn, long time no see, but I'm pressed for time, so I've got to quit the banter and just get straight out into business. Jack Carroll in a tough fight against Jorge Linares. Now, Jorge's been there, done it, but he's coming off 3 losses. He's 38 years old. Are we expecting a top fight in terms of Linares' last 3 performances?
Yeah, I mean, you're expecting a big hurrah from Jorge Linares. He's had, 12 weeks' notice for this fight. He's teamed back up with Ismael Salas. Linares is not the guy to just say, I'm just go over to Liverpool for a little payday. He's going to give everything on Saturday. And he's a top world-class fighter. Now, from Jack, we need to see something special. We're talking about Josh Taylor rematch. We're talking about the winner of Haney Prograis. But you've got to show us, and you've got to make the world want that really badly. And I want to shout from the rooftops on Saturday to say, that's the fight we want to see next. So the pressure on Jack, Jack's expected to win because Linares is towards the end of his career. But I think the pressure is on him to make a statement on Saturday night against a very motivated Jorge Linares.
You said that about the Josh Taylor rematch. This is a Monday morning question. This should be a question I should be asking you on Monday morning when the fight's done. You as a promoter, the Josh Taylor, I've seen you in America, you said these comments in America that the Josh Taylor for me makes commercial sense. There's that bad blood between the two of them. But for Jack Carroll, he wants to be a world champion. That Haney Prograis winner for a world title in Vegas, New York, wherever it may be. What does Jack want? Have you spoken to Jack in terms of what's next for him?
Yeah, look, every one of our 140-pounders wants the winner of Haney Prograis because they want the king of the division. They want the WBC world title, but they also want big fights. So outside of that fight, the biggest fight out there for Jack Carroll is the Josh Taylor rematch. I like the fight because of the build-up, because of the history, the narrative. I know it can fill arenas in Manchester and in Glasgow. Josh Taylor isn't a world champion anymore, but it's still a huge fight. So the focus is always to become a world champion. But the pressure from me, from Sam Jones, if Jack puts a great performance in on Saturday, is we want Taylor or the winner of that fight, and it will be up to us to deliver it.
Can Jack stop Linares? Is that what? I heard you talk about Parsons in terms of the misfits and all that sort of stuff. You need these fighters to perform.
I just feel like boxing's under pressure to create entertainment in and out of the ring. But the one thing we've got over that social media or YouTube world is our product is fantastic when we get it right. Their product, their build-up, their brand is amazing. But the product inside the ring will never be what we can deliver. But we can't just allow for the product to be poor or fights to be poor. And we have to be tougher with managers and lawyers and advisors. We still got an obligation to bring a fighter through at the right pace. But when it's that time to flick the switch, and everyone really knows it is, we've got to do it. So, and you mustn't worry about losing a fighter at that stage to another platform or network, and that's something we've been guilty of in the past, because sometimes you see that fighter go, and you watch them have 2 or 3 easy fights, and you think, thank God I'm not paying for it. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to think more about the product and the sport, and I think you'll see that from us. Obviously, we've got a lot locked in this year, but moving forward, this year and next year, we're going to be really putting that emphasis on, and also prospects. Show me something. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're at a level well above these guys, go and take them out. Go and get everyone in the arena on social media excited for your performance. And the ones that have all the hype and all the smoke blown up their backside, because they do have tremendous talent, Shabazz Massoud, Peter McGrail, go and show the world how great you are. And let me, as a salesman, give me the ammunition to shout from the rooftops about you, and we'll go to the moon together.
You spoke about just there about fighters going to different platforms. Now, a fighter you had was bouts. Now his fight was postponed. I saw your TalkSport interview, and you sort of knew this was happening, or you heard rumours that this was going to happen. The fight wasn't going ahead, and you heard factors as to why this was going to happen. Dan AZEEZ came out and said along the lines that he could almost accuse you of saying that he was going to fake an injury, but you didn't actually say them words. So your response to that?
Listen, I don't know. I heard Dan AZEEZ's comments. If he can show me an interview where I said he's faked an injury, I'd be astonished. What I said was 2 weeks ago that I'd heard that the show wasn't going as planned and it was going to be pulled. Now, for what reason? Someone said ticket sales, someone said an injury. I wouldn't at all suggest that on Tuesday someone would go up to Dan AZEEZ and say, do me a favour and pull an injury. So I'm sure he's injured, but yes, there was been a lot of rumblings about that show. And listen, I want to see the fight. I want to see the fight because although we parted company, I'm disappointed for Joshua Buatsi because he was up here and now he's, and sometimes through fault of his own because he had terrible advice, but also for a bit of bad luck, he's just miles off where he should be. And he's a tremendous fighter and he's a good young man. But, boxing's full of people with terrible advice. Some people listen to it, some people don't. But, you know, you see some of those fighters that just listen to people that have absolutely no clue about boxing. I'm not even talking about the promotional company. I'm talking about people that, you know, you can't advise a fighter if you have absolutely no knowledge about the sport in and out of the ring. You know, boxing, as I always say to you, and I always say to people, there is no barriers to entry. It is the most bizarre world where someone who is absolutely useless can start giving you advice about your career. And next thing, they're in my office telling me this kid should be getting this and we want to be going this direction. And you're having to have negotiations with someone who, quite frankly, is an absolute clown in the world of boxing. And that's the bizarre thing. So fighters need to make sure they have a team of people that are knowledgeable and they trust. Because you get a decision wrong in your career, it's over. It's done. And before you know it, you've lost your title and you're not getting a rematch that you were promised and you hung out to dry and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, again, I cannot believe that certain people will listen to certain people that know absolutely nothing about the sport. So keep your circle small.
Eddie, talk about non-things about the sport. I'm very impressed with your coming off a plane from San Francisco, landing in Liverpool, and you rattle off 9 dates, fighters. So I'm impressed with your knowledge of the sport because you can rattle off every single show you've got lined up, the fighters on it, the weight classes, their opponents. But you did mention December 23rd, possibility of December 23rd. Now, you said a couple of weeks ago that you're going to hear something this week maybe, but we haven't heard anything yet. When can we hear something? Is it going to be December 23rd, Cardiff, BENN, EUBANK?
We want to go December 23rd. We're also being told that Usyk Fury could go December 23rd. We don't really want to go up against them. I don't think they'd want to go up against us, but it's difficult to confirm site deals for that date if there's the uncertainty of what else might be on that date.
Would you roll the dice if they did go 23rd? Would you roll the dice and go 23rd as well?
If they announced the 23rd, or we thought they were going on the 23rd, I don't think we would go on the 23rd. Now, we might roll the dice if we don't hear anything, because the longer it goes on, the more unlikely they are to go on the 23rd. But both Conor Benn and Anthony Joshua are on me non-stop to fight ASAP. So we appreciate it could run into January, but I believe, and I just said to Parsons, like, if you give me the cut-off of end of January, I say 100% Ben EUBANK happens before the end of January. And I think Joshua will fight before the end of January as well. If the opportunity is there to do it 23rd, we'll be all over it. But we also appreciate that there are other events planned, and, you know, if we're doing a major deal with a site and they're hearing that Usyk Fury is going to go on the 23rd, I'm sure you can understand the need to wait before a deal of that magnitude is signed.
In terms of contract, is anything, I know you spoke about, I seen your Overlap podcast and you spoke about the difficulties with contracts, fighter walking in second, posters. Is anything done in terms of the second fight?
That was really the first fight. We've got a deal template in place that I believe gets done quite quickly. In terms of the weight, you know, Conor's giving a lot up now. He says 160 is no problem. We know it's EUBANK Ben. We know he walks second. All of that stuff, and we're not bothered about that stuff. Just want to make a massive British fight, and I think we need it. I think the sport needs it. One
final one for me, because I know Frank Smith is probably going to prod me, and Matt's going to prod me in the back here to hurry this up. Did you see Conor McGregor and CANELO go at it on Twitter? I mean, we've seen, you talked about misfits and all this sort of stuff, and Fury and Ngannou. Is that a possibility? Can you see CANELO and McGregor? You know both of them very well.
Look, CANELO obviously deals with all of those guys from every different world. One thing I say about Conor McGregor, he can box. Don't forget, he wasn't an amateur boxer. You know, he's got boxing pedigree. And let's be honest, although Floyd Mayweather did, with all due respect, play with him at times, he still held his own in there. He didn't look like, you know, another MMA fighter just out of his depth. So I think he could fight again, and I think he would actually be in a decent boxing match, Conor McGregor. But it just goes back to the product. You know, it's like Fury and Ngannou, amazing event, amazing hype, but you'll see, like, it's a mismatch, and we've got to move away from mismatches, you know, because what happens is you build the hype, and then they get in the ring, and everyone goes, what a load of rubbish, and then you're let down, and then you move away from it. That will enable you, or it will ensure that the longevity suffers. We know we've got the product. We've just got to make the right fights. And it's not even just about making Crawford Spence. It's about top to bottom, making sure that it's a great night of boxing, that when you tune into DAZN or you buy a ticket, you walk around and say, got value for money. That was a great night. And we're going to be doing more and more on that. And on that note, I'll see you at the weigh-in.
See you at the weigh-in, Eddie. Thank you so much, mate. Thank you.